You're listening to the PT Pintcast, where smart people in healthcare come to make noise. Here's your host, Jimmy McKay.
Big thanks to Empower EMR. If your clinic is stuck in an EMR that slows you down, Empower gives you speed, clean workflows, and features PTs actually asked for. Better notes, faster documentation, smoother operations, all wrapped up in customer support that doesn't ghost you. Because let's face it, something's going to go wrong. Nothing's perfect. So you just want to make sure you're going to get help. Upgrade your clinic's brain with Empower EMR. And again, we've said this before, transferring over, changing an EMR, it's a big deal. Kick the tires, see what they have. They make transferring easier. EmpowerEMR.com. Now, most of healthcare runs on numbers. Think about it. Blood work, numbers. Imaging, measurements. Cardiology, data down to the millisecond. But when it comes to movement, the thing we claim as our domain, we still say things like, looks better, improving, tolerance increased. Today's guest believes that's not good enough. He runs a referral-based clinical biomechanics lab in Vegas that turns walking, balance, and strength into objective numbers, the kind that make clinical skill visible outside the treatment room. He says PTs aren't movement experts, not yet. He's building what he calls the Quest diagnostics of human movement. Our guest today, Chana Wong. Chana, welcome to the show. We've talked about you before, but now you're here.
Well, thank you for the great intro. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to be here talking to the one and only Jimmy McKay, the voice of physical therapy.
Well, it sure shouldn't be the face, but let's dig in. I love bold statements. And you are a physical therapist. I want to make sure the audience understands.
Yes, I am. I am a physical therapist.
This is why you can take shots, because when you are one of us, you can say things, which is good. So I love bold statements, and I'm going to give you a chance to sort of explain what that means. You say PTs aren't movement experts yet. I love bold statements. What do you mean by that?
Well, to be honest with you, we are trained in movement, but to be an expert, I think the bare minimum requirement is to be able to objectively measure, validate, and demonstrate movement. Oftentimes in clinics, physical therapists depend on observational data, inferred data, or non-standardized data. And what I want to push for or advocate for is that instead of relying on those data, we should actually standardize how movement is tested so that we use standardized data.
So it sounds like that's a bold statement, but what you are and aren't saying, you're not saying the problem isn't lack of skill, it's lack of objective proof, sort of what I said in the intro.
Infrastructure in physical therapy clinics are busy. Standardizing data is hard. That's why it's important to create a structure where we can measure movement reliably and consistently all the time.
Okay. So we'll get into the model in a second, but I like to spoil it. Let's get to the end first. What actually changes in a clinic when movement becomes measured objectively, when that becomes easier and simpler and more repeatably?
Yeah. So when I first started Movie Health, I guess that's the best way to describe it. I spoke with a lot of physical therapists, spoke with a lot of medical doctors, spoke with a lot of patients, and also the payers too. And the feedback was very unanimous. In healthcare, credibility and authority is actually linked to standard. Right now, physical therapists are doctorate degree professionals that practice without having standardized diagnostic infrastructure. So when I spoke with physical therapists, a lot of them were telling me that they were acting like a salesperson. In some ways, it's good. Some ways, it's not what we went to school for. We went to school to be the doctors of physical therapy. So they have to sell to the patients that they have to come back for the next visit, why they need to be in physical therapy and how physical therapy helps. professions that use standardized data, whether it be outside of healthcare, like um, forensic scientists, engineers, you never question them. You get that automatic buy-in that you trust them, right? So when you flew out to Anaheim past weekend, you probably never questioned the pilot. You just know that they're going to do the right thing. Same thing with the doctors, medical doctors, podiatrists, optometrists, dentists. They all use standardized data, and you sort of patients or the consumers get automatic buy-in that they trust what they're doing. In physical therapy, it's a little bit different. Right now, there's about 70% of patients self-discharge because there's that big clarity gap that we don't really address in physical therapy. So patients can't see the problem or progress objectively. So they default to, I feel better as a finish line. So that results in physical therapists getting pushed into earning the buy-in from the patients. So when we start using standardized data, it creates a familiar process for the patients, and it fundamentally changes physical therapy from solution-led profession to the diagnostic first profession. And when you do that, we have three things that change. Patients see their deficits, black and white, in detail, using numbers. Physical therapists can stop pitching and start leading with clinical authority. And payers actually will see objective data that they need to reward rather than just counting visits.
So it sounds like some things, I don't want to infer, but completion rates and patient buy-in, those two things are pretty well tied together. That might increase.
Yeah.
Referrals could also, you could infer that it would increase. Documentation clarity is something that could increase. And then you mentioned reduced defensiveness with payers because you're able to prove.
Of course. I'm glad you mentioned that because our co-founder, Akash Patel, he's also a physical therapist. He's like a brother to me. He's the type of person, regardless of any field he went into, he would have succeeded. Like he could have been, if he went into medical field, he would have been the best doctor in the United States. If he went into engineering, he would have been the best engineer in the United States. But I'm so happy he chose physical therapy. But he actually partnered with the clinic where he partnered with the clinic, only made one change to the clinic. He reviewed the movement reports with the patients the same way the physicians review their lab report. No new exercises, just objective data and clear interpretation. Within 1 year, the plan of care completion rate for that clinic rose from 51% to 68%.
It's not small.
So, yeah.
I mean, we know this, right? I got a Peloton downstairs, and when I can track my progress and I can see how things are improving, I can look how often I'm doing that. When they give me those stupid little badges, I fall for it every time because I want to we want to earn the digital cred. But it's a feedback loop, right? And now we're able to see that. So we've dug into this conversation before because we spoke without recording. Now that we've gotten the attention of the person listening, now I want you to walk them through the business model of what Moviq is doing now. In the intro, I said, you're started calling yourself like the Quest Diagnostics of human movement. So if pretend for a second that I don't know the model, I want you to walk people through, not theoretically, because you are doing this right now. This is not theoretical. This is practical. So walk people through this, walk PTs through what Moviq is doing, and then we'll talk future state of what you're hoping to do.
Okay, yes. So we're a clinical biomechanics lab. We're not a physical therapy clinic. We partner with physical therapy clinics. We also partner with medical clinics as well in orthopedics, neurology, and podiatry. So When you identify somebody with movement deficits, you can refer your patient out to our clinic. It's as easy as filling out a form on our online dashboard. And just like Quest Diagnostics, we coordinate scheduling and we coordinate testing with the patient. They come in, they get tested using 3D motion capture, force plate, and balance plate. Once we get all the data, we input it into our dashboard, and on your end, on the physical therapist end, you can open up that report, and you can see different metrics based on their gait, running, jumping, functional skills on force plate and balance plates, such as limits of stability, weight distribution, etc. And
Okay.
you can use that report. You can speak with the clients. Here's the report. Each report contains the results, the clinical interpretation, what that metric means, and the reference, and whether it's within reference or out of reference.
So that's like the blood test.
Yeah.
Right. So you're
Yes.
set up in Vegas, and your model is, and I'm going to say it, and you correct me where I'm wrong.
Mhm.
I'll give it a good first draft.
Okay.
You're set up in Vegas, and your goal is to be that blood testing lab. Listen, if you're a PT clinic for sports or outpatient orthopedics, it's going to cost you a lot of money to do these things and training and time.
Mhm.
So why not?
It takes space too in the clinic.
Space. Sorry, good point. Yeah, and which is a premium too in a larger metro. So why not utilize us, because we've got equipment, space, and staff.
Mhm.
You send us a patient pre-eval, post-eval?
Mostly post-eval. I would love to get to pre-eval someday so that it's more like, yeah.
And you send them to, they send them to Movique, and then you run them through whatever battery of tests that you have that the PT feels appropriate.
Mhm.
And then the report goes to the PT. Now they're able to, the next time they see that patient in their clinic, because you're not a clinic, you said that.
We're not a clinic.
As soon as, when they see them in their clinic, they are now able to have that blood panel results in front of them to help guide them.
Yes.
What did I miss? Anything?
You haven't missed anything. That's exactly it.
Well, you've told me this before, so I'm cheating, which is good. Okay.
And I don't think that's cheating.
And then do your homework. That's not cheating.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then this is done on an annual retainer basis right now.
Yes. So we partner with the clinics on an annual contract.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah. And well, the clinics can trial us out through the pilot program too. So there's a low cost way to trial Movique Health with it. Yeah. To
Understood.
see we're the right fit.
Good. Okay. So why has physical therapy sort of tolerated subjective measurement, for lack of a better term, when we ask people how it feels, right? Why has our profession tolerated subjective measurement for so long? Why is this, how is this still okay?
Well, to be honest with you, it's just my speculation, but standardizing data in clinic is very, very difficult.
Right.
I think the biggest example that most of us use in outpatient clinic is 5 times sit to stand. The proper way to do 5 times sit to stand is to ensure that the chair height is between 16 and 17 inches. Mm-hmm. The chair cannot be anchored to the floor or the wall. And that's where sort of there's the variation of it. And when I was working as a clinician, I actually met with a retired internal medicine physician.
Okay.
I was taking her blood pressure, and I actually did it the way everyone does it, just arm hanging down, legs slightly off the floor, feet slightly off the floor. And she was pointing out to me, Chana, the way you're doing it is invalid. I won't take your results for it. And that's when I sort of learned that standardizing how we measure is very, very important, not just for patients, but also our referral partners who are mostly physicians.
Understood. All right. Quick break. Thanks to US Physical Therapy. You didn't start your clinic to sell it off. You built it to last. At US Physical Therapy, they help clinic owners stay local, stay in control, and grow with confidence. They're not private equity firm. They're physical therapists helping physical therapists grow. Visit them online at usph.com. That's uspHpartnerships.com. And I do also want to say thanks. This episode brought to you by one of our nonprofit partners, Team Gleason, supporting people living with ALS with access to care, mobility, and independence. If you want to support a cause that aligns directly with function and dignity, you check out teamgleason.org. All right, let me ask this. Why is standardized diagnostic infrastructure in physical therapy? Why is it needed? Is it needed? Where is it needed? Like, answer those.
Yeah, of course. I think that's actually the most common question that I get. Among physical therapists, the biggest pushback is everyone moves differently.
Right.
And I agree, everyone moves differently. And that isn't actually an argument against standardization. It is actually the strongest reason for standardization. We don't say every heart rhythm is different, so ECGs are useless. We say it the other way. Because every heart is different, we need a consistent way to measure it using ECGs. The goal of standardized diagnostic infrastructure isn't to standardize the output or to make everyone move the same. It's to standardize the input, the way testing is done, because standardization controls for variability amongst humans, and it creates a shared baseline that all physical therapists can use. So right now, in physical therapy, hypothetically speaking, it's not a possibility, but it's hypothetical. Two people, same age, same demographics, same left knee pain, can go into two different physical therapy clinics and walk out with different tests being done to them, different baselines established, and there's a possibility of different treatment plan or plan of care. For physical therapists like us, we like to call that individualized care. But at a higher level, at like a payer's level, they call that variability. If two people with the same diagnosis walk into physical therapy clinics, ideally they should be tested the same way. But it's not. And that creates the noise in whether the patient made true improvement or not. And the second reason for the importance of standardizing diagnostic infrastructure is that standardized data is the universal language of high-stake decision-making in any professions. So, as I mentioned, professions that we trust with our lives, pilots, engineers, forensic scientists, they rely on objective, standardized data because the stakes are too high for human error. Healthcare workers also work the same way. The professions that make critical and important decisions, like, as I mentioned, physicians, dentists, eye doctors, they rely on standardized data because the cost of being wrong is too high. So for me, it's just my opinion. When we argue that physical therapy doesn't need standardized diagnostic infrastructure, we're making a dangerous claim that the consequences of being wrong are so low that it's okay to eyeball movements. And you and I know that's not true. And I know people don't mean it that way, but it's the way I infer it as well. Movement is a vital sign. It dictates independence, fall risk, chronic disease trajectory, return to work or activities of daily living. It reflects quality of life as well. So for me, if physical therapy wants to be seen as a high-value profession, we need to anchor to the same thing that the rest of healthcare is anchored to, which is objective, standardized data.
If someone said, what's the difference between like AI video analysis and what you're doing, like a clinical biomechanics lab, how would you explain that?
Yeah. So for me, AI video analysis, like the movement analysis that we use through
Sure.
our smartphone, iPad, or even laptop, it's a powerful tool. I love it too. I personally use it for myself as well. But the core limitation is that it produces inferred data. So what that means is that the AI model doesn't actually directly measure movement. It estimates movement from the camera angle, lens distortion, phone placement. So in other words, it's not directly measuring it. It's measuring based on its previously trained models. But what AI video analysis or movement analysis is great for is it's great for engagement and coaching. It's great for providing immediate visual feedback, and it helps patients see the movement. But the greatest risk shows up in healthcare when we use inferred data from movement AI movement analysis, like a medical grade standard. Because inferred data can change with protocols or setups rather than the patient's physiology or their biomechanics. So it can create a false baseline and it can lead to misleading progress. So that's why AI video analysis position themselves as a wellness, fitness, or
Right.
visualization tool.
If
Movie health, yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, movie health, clinical biomechanics, it's different. It's a completely different tool that's used for different purposes. So we produce standardized data. The testing is completed in a controlled condition using the same equipment, same instruction,
Right.
same tool under same scoring system. So we remove the noise so that the baseline and the follow-up is a true apple-to-apple measurement. And that difference is really everything. And that's what separates AI video analysis and movie health or clinical biomechanics lab. Both
Right.
can coexist. I don't think it's one or the other issue.
Right. It can't be.
Yeah, the best clinics in Las Vegas actually use both. So they use us to establish true baseline and true progress, and they use video analysis for in the moment coaching.
So, does the profession need comprehensive testing like this? I mean, you're in Vegas now. I imagine this. The goal is to spread to other major cities and then see how this goes. But someone asked on our live stream, does the profession need comprehensive testing like this? Where do we need our Quest diagnostics of movement?
Well, I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
I think it is very important. The reason being is that in every other branch of healthcare, comprehensive diagnostic testing is sort of like the non-negotiable bare minimum standard of care. It explains the mechanism, quantifies severity, and create a true baseline, objective standardized baseline that they can track over time. In physical therapy clinics, most of what we use for evaluation is fast, low-cost, minimal equipment tests that produce binary results, or it's graded on a subjective scale. So the output is mostly observational data, inferred data, or non-standardized data. So, and another thing for me is if a patient can perform your test at home with a chair and a stopwatch, it's a screen, not a diagnostic. It lacks clinical authority and was never meant to carry the weight of clinical prescription. It was designed to triage more than to explain why, and why is everything behind your plan of care. For me, physical therapy needs standardized diagnostic infrastructure or comprehensive testing not to replace clinical judgments, but to strengthen it. We need something that we can anchor, that we own in physical therapy, so that people appreciate physical therapists for what they do.
Understood. So, all right. So to the clinic owners listening right now, because that's who you want to talk to, right? That's the audiences that you're serving now and want to continue to serve. Mm-hmm. If you're a clinic owner listening right now, what's their first practical step? Like what would you have people, what's the goal? What would you want them to do or know?
Can you rephrase the question again one more time?
So I guess if a clinic owner is out there and they're in the Vegas area, mm-hmm. you want them to test drive, right? You want them to come in there and take a look. Mm-hmm. But if someone isn't in the Las Vegas area, what's their first practical step?
I think they should try to use standardized data, practice using standardized data as much as they can. I think I would love for all clinics to invest in technology. I think physical therapy should move on from visual or manual to more towards technology-driven healthcare, and really test out the equipment that we're using. Run DNA, my favorite company. Vault, probably my second favorite company out there. Balance tracking system is great for tracking balance, and I think they should try all these companies out, reach out to the companies and find out more about what they do.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything I didn't ask that you wanted me to dig into? Or anything that you think that, because you're answering frequently asked questions when you're doing outreach to clinics, right? Is there anything that you typically get asked that I didn't give you a chance to share?
They usually ask how difficult this is, like in a sense that most physical therapists are not trained in biomechanics as extensively as we think we are. Even when I went to school, I had a great professor, but for biomechanics, we're learning F equals MA and those formulas. So the biggest concern is that for clinic owners, that they won't know how to interpret these results. So it's all in the report. That's the easiest way to say it. It's pretty much reading through the report and going into details with the clients or patients, one-on-one. And you can go on our website and download the sample report that you get, and it gives you a pretty good explanation. And most physical therapists, we're very smart, and they really have no issues with it. But that's their biggest concern.
Sure. We'll share the website in the show notes, but moviquehealth.com. Mm-hmm. Are you ready for your parting shot?
Yes, I am.
Let's do the parting shot.
This is the parting shot. One last mic drop moment. No pressure. Just your legacy on the line.
Thanks to Sarah Health, the remote care platform helping clinics boost revenue without having to add staff. Sarah automates daily patient check-ins via text, which means no app, no logins, just better outcomes. A simple way to meet RTM requirements, improve follow-through, and actually get reimbursed for care between visits. Easy to set up, simple to use, and patients love it. SarahHealth.com. That's SARA health.com. All right, your parting shot, Shauna. What do you got for me?
All right. Every innovation in a profession does one of the two things. It either raises the ceiling or it raises the floor. So raising the ceiling is about expanding what's possible. It's the new technology, new product. It's exciting. It's impressive. Even I love new technology coming out in physical therapy. But raising the floor is different. When you raise the floor, you elevate the minimum standard of care. It's about reducing variability and ensuring that a patient gets high value service regardless of which clinic they're in. It's probably not as fun, not as exciting for most people. The space between the floor and the ceiling is the variability. It's how different we are from one or the other. Every physical therapist starts on the floor, but only an elite few will ever reach the ceiling. And I can think of great names: Jimmy McKay, Tony, Dave, my co-founder, Akash Patel. They all reached the ceiling already, but most of us are unfortunately down here at the floor. A profession isn't defined by its ceiling, it's defined by its floor. And right now, when I see physical therapy, we have a very, very high ceiling. So some practice as at the level of physicians. We also have very, very low floor. So some people act as more as a personal trainer or glorified personal trainer with quotation, or coaches. If we want to build a skyscraper, you don't build a skyscraper only by raising the ceiling. You have to build the floors. You have to create the infrastructure that everyone stands on. And in physical therapy, we see leaders doing this quietly. They're probably not as vocal as I am, but one person I really want to highlight is Brian Warner. He was a founder of Physical Therapy and Balance. He's raising the floor in vestibular care, creating a standardized benchmark so that balance and dizziness treatment in physical therapy isn't a guessing game. Personally, I'm more excited about raising the floor than raising the ceiling, because raising the ceiling will only help those who are elite few. But when you raise the floor, you help everyone. You move the needle for the entire profession within the healthcare system. You shift industry towards a profession that is valued, respected, defensible, and indispensable. And that is my parting shot. Thank you, Jimmy.
Love it. Website again, I'll put it in the show notes, but is moviquehealth.com. I'm curious to see where this thing goes. I'm interested. I like the fact that you're doing it in Vegas too. But appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this and walking us through it.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me onto your show. Sometimes being in this new field, it makes me feel like I'm like a chihuahua barking at lions right now, but I feel like I roar today. So thank you for the platform, and thank you for giving small people like us a platform to talk on.
Appreciate it, John. Well, thanks for the time, man.
You're welcome.
That's it for this one, but we're just getting warmed up. Smash follow, send it to a friend, or crank up the next episode. Want to go deeper? Hit us at ptpintcast.com or find us on YouTube and socials at ptpintcast. And legally, none of this was advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. See, Keith, we read the script. Happy now?